I will begin. So good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our second mini webinar in our mini webinar series for parents. I'd like to introduce Sherry Farmer, who is the organizer of our parent webinar series, and Mike Ginsberg, who is our presenter for this evening, our instructional technology specialist. Both incredible professionals at Madison Public Schools, and such an honor and a privilege to be here with both of you tonight. I wanted to give parents an idea of what to expect for this evening's webinar. We will be recording this webinar for access and later reference. So if you didn't have a chance to have all of your friends be able to attend this evening, you can assure them that it can be accessed on the district website. This webinar should be valuable to all parents in our district, whether you are a parent of a voluntary remote learner for this entire trimester, or whether you're parents of students who are going to be attending our classes in person, as well as in distance learning days or in the hybrid model. Our purpose is to assist you in becoming familiar with our Google Classroom setup, and also to share with you how we standardized Google Classroom setups kindergarten through grade 12 in all content areas. That was some feedback that we got from last year when we were in distance learning, and feedback that we've been working on over the summer in order to make this student and parent and hopefully teacher friendly. I do want to acknowledge that our teachers have been engaged in new learning all this week and last week. Mr. Ginsberg has played a huge role in that. They are learning about the standardization of Google Classroom. They're learning about new evaluation tools that we can use for both platforms, meaning as a distance learner and an in-person learner. And they've also been learning about the new hardware that comes with live streaming from our classrooms, including cameras and microphones, and how to set up your classroom so everyone will have access. So it's a lot to learn, and we appreciate our parents being here tonight and your patience as we try out all of our new systems and as we get comfortable with how our school year is going to progress. You're a huge part of that, and we hope you enjoy this webinar and find it very helpful. So I'm going to ask Mrs. Farmer if she would help me monitor the chat room for questions. We will have a Q&A period at the end, and I'm going to turn it over to our instructional technology specialist, Mr. Mike Ginsberg. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Gail, and hello to everybody. What I'd like to do tonight with you is I'm going to walk you through what the students are going to see, and then how the parents can also have a glimpse into their child's Google Classroom. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over to the student view. So here's a Google Classroom that I made specifically for this purpose. It's called our webinar presentation classroom. And you would have, or your student would find the teacher's name or the name of their class up top here. And then underneath that, there is a link. So that is a link to the live session that your teacher will have every day and for every course that they are going through. So if you're wondering, how does my child access their live session? All they would need to do is enter into this link right here. The next part of it is there's the stream. And the stream is really just announcements for the class. So you probably won't see too much there. And last year in the spring, we had some teachers were posting classwork would end up there. And the feedback that we really received from students was that they found it difficult to find the work because it acts just like a stream. Everything kind of flows on down. And so in listening to their feedback, we've changed it so that only announcements would be here and that classwork would be found in the classwork section. Before I move on to that spot though, I do want to highlight the area over here that says upcoming. And I'm going to click on view all. And what's really neat about this section is it gives you an idea of what you need to do and what you've already done. So moving off of the all section, I'm going to move to the assigned. And of course, it's going to take a little while because we're live. So when the assigned pops up, what you'll see is the assignments that are either missing or the ones that are upcoming. I'm just going to click on it again to see if that helps it. It's not. Let's go to return. Okay, let's talk about the return section. So the return section isn't the ones, are not assignments that the teacher returned to the student saying, please do more. It's the ones that are finished. So if it's graded, there'll be a grade right here. And if I click on it as the student, what should pop up is that you would have the work that was done or completed, and then also feedback from the teacher. So it's not going to work. You're going to have to trust me that my feedback was brilliant. So the feedback was there. And then in the missing section, which is also not going to show up, obviously has the assignments that were not yet completed. And it's okay that it's not popping up because I'm going to show you another way that you can see all this. So in the classwork section of Google Classroom, the way that we've standardized it for all classes, kindergarten through the high school, is that we have four main sections. And the first one is the today section. Any assignments that were assigned that day will obviously go in the today section. And then at the end of the day, the teacher will slide it down to the lower section, which I'll get to. The next section is called Week at a Glance, and that one is really from parental feedback that parents want to know, one, exactly when their students were going live so that they could help their student plan for those live classes. And that's really important when we're either in the hybrid or in a full remote model. And then also, they wanted a glimpse as to what is happening to the class, like what are you learning in the class during the week, so that there'll be a weekly planner, and it will differ based out upon which grade level your student is in, but you will have that, that glimpse of there. And as the teacher puts it into the description part of the planner, you'll get a link, or you'll actually be able to read exactly what they're learning. The third section is called Materials and Resources, and that will show anything that you have in the trimester that a student might need, like for example, how to upload a picture, will be there. And finally, the fourth section kind of grows. And for that, we have the week of. So you would have the most current week would be up at the top. And then that is where the teacher would take things from the end of the day. And then they would just simply slide it. Oh, I'm in the teacher's view. So it didn't work. Sorry, I'm in the student view. Slide on down. So in the week of, you would see the assignments that are here, or the materials. And I want to point out two things to you. The first is that the gray icon here, that is a material, meaning that there's no work due for the student. It's just something that the teacher has posted. So if I clicked on it, everything is just disappearing on me because I'm in a live webinar, but that's okay. It would just be a material. The orange ones are when something's due. So the clipboards are assignments. And if you look at the clipboard here, which is orange, and the clipboard down here, which is gray, the difference is the gray ones have been turned in. So if your student is disagreeing with you that they have a missing assignment, they can go back and very simply look, and if their assignment, the clipboard, is in color, they'll know that they haven't turned it in, and that they need to go into the assignment and turn it in. So I'm going to show you real quick, hopefully, that when I click on this, my assignments are all just disappearing on me, and I'm having a glitch. I'm going to hit my refresh button. Oh, because because Gail and I were playing with it earlier, I wasn't signed in. Let me show you how you sign in. So when your student opens up their Chromebook, they're gonna have to sign in, and I'm signing in as a student as D-Hand. And then they would have to put in their password. And when you get to that, now I'm signed in, so I'm gonna be able to do it. I want to show you something real fast. I apologize because I'm about to jump. What they would normally see is a page that looked like this with their different classes. So if they're an elementary student, they're gonna have their homeroom teacher and then maybe a related arts class. And as you move up the K-12 spectrum, you're gonna end up with more classes. I apologize for that. So let me go back down and I can show you. So if I go into my class or my assignment that's not done, I can then view the assignment. And then I can either put in a comment. If I put in a class comment, everybody's gonna see it. A private comment, only my teacher would see it. Or I could add some work. So if I click on this, I could add something from my Google Drive, I could add a link, or I could add a file from my computer, which I'll try and do for you in a moment. I could also create a new Google Doc, a slide, a sheet, or a drawing. So if I was to go ahead and upload a picture, I could do this one. I could go either to my computer, or I can upload it, and I very simply click on it. I click insert, and it will bring it right in. And then I can click turn it in. And then it'll say, do you want to turn this in? And I'll say, yes, turn it in. And then when I go back, and it is a little funky when I go back, and I go down, you can see now it's in gray because I've turned in the assignment. It's no longer in color. And that's the student view of what we have going on. So, and the last section is just the people where you can see other people who are in your class and who your teachers are. From a parental perspective, if I move up here, actually, I'm gonna jump to the teacher one real fast. The people section in the teacher side has their students in their class, and then they can invite parents to be guardians. And what's good about being a guardian is it allows you to have a glimpse into your students' Google Classrooms. And it's for all their classrooms. So you can see for D-Hand, the parent has already accepted the invite. And for this D-Hand, they've been invited. So that's where I'm gonna jump over to. And you can see right here is the invitation. So your teacher is going to invite you to be a guardian of your student if you haven't already been invited. And you'll have this email. And what you would do is you would click accept. And then it will make sure that you want to use this email. And I'm going to accept it, that I do. From there, I have a choice. I can either, this is my one right here, I can either have weekly summaries. The weekly summaries come about 5 o'clock on Fridays and would contain everything from the week. Or I could choose a daily summary, and that will come every day around 5, sometimes a little bit before 5 o'clock. Today it came in around 4 for me, actually. Just so you know, I did have to choose my time zone. So we're Eastern time, so you just have to select that. And then you're all set. What the emails look like when they come in are like this. So you get a daily summary for today. You can see right up here, so my student D had a missing assignment, so it tells me which one is missing. It tells me in the next few days what's coming up and what they're going to have to do. And then this is the activity that has been going on in the classroom. Also down at the bottom of the email is a thing for settings. So if you had chosen to receive weekly and you really want daily, you would click on that and you can change it, and vice versa. And then if you decided you didn't want to receive the emails, you could also unsubscribe from receiving the emails. Another important thing that I want to point out is this feedback. When you give the feedback, it goes to Google. So if you're thinking that you want more information than just what a Guardian summary supplies for you, you have to give that email to Google, because we can't control what Google does. And the more parent feedback that they receive, they're more likely to make changes to their system. So that's just an important thing to do. Going back up, I'm going to go to the teacher view again, and just so that you can see, so the teacher's view is very similar to the student view, but when they go into it, they can see how many people have turned in an assignment, who's still assigned, and again, I'm just going to click on it here. Here's the work that they turned in. We can give them a grade, and if I click on it, again, I can see it, and then the teacher can also provide feedback to the student, which then, again, in the student view, they can see back either in their assignments or what was handed in. All these little captions here are for feedback from students. And that's really what Google Classroom is at a glance. So Gail, I'm going to ask you if there's questions that I can answer for people.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to try to synthesize, and Sherry, you'll help me where I didn't capture something. You know, I think there's a theme about passwords and how passwords are provided to students, and then also how parents, when entering the email password, they're getting an indication that there's no account given or found, and they're wondering what that's about. So
okay, I can answer that. So a couple things. So when you're in the student account, and I'm going to sign back out of this one. I just have to move my people. I'm just going to sign out. It's a little hard because I'm already in, but what I want to point out to you is the way that all the accounts work is your last name, a period, then the student's first name, the @ symbol, and then madisonps.org. So the madisonps.org is our domain name, and it's important that that part is there. So once you've done that, it should recognize that there's an account created for you. Then you're going to enter in your password. The passwords for the elementaries who were here last year, they've not changed. We can't see your passwords. We can only force change them for you if your student forgets. The teachers did receive a list of passwords for the students that were collected from last year so that they can help remind them, and that's for the younger set. As you get older, it is expected that the students are going to remember their passwords, and if not, then we can help them change their passwords to sign on. The first day of school, I know K-5, they will definitely be working with the students to learn how to correctly put in their email address, which is what the @madisonps.org is, and then also be helping them with their passwords. If it's their first time, they have the password for them, and if they're a returning student, again, helping remind them or resetting that password for them to get on. So Thursday and Friday, the students will spend time learning how to log into the system.
Mike, can you just tell people how they will, once the child has logged in, how they will then be added to the classroom? I think that was a question as well.
Gotcha. So I'm just going to sign back in. So I'm going to go to the teacher side. And if your student is coming into school either on Thursday or Friday, the teacher is going to share a class code. And then, so they sign in, they're going to go to classroom.google.com, and then there's a button I can show you, a little plus button. They only have the option to join a class. So they would click this, and then they would put the code that the teacher is putting up on the board, which would be, sorry, from my teacher point of view, I can only do it like this, which would be this code here. And then once they do that, they'll automatically join the class. For the students who are remote learning, they will receive a link to it, which is very simply the teacher would do this, and then they would send it probably to the parent email, since the student wouldn't be able to log in just yet. And then they would be able to log into the system and join the class. Oh, so the password would be set, and then they could do this. other questions?
So Mike, as far as parents who have already picked up Chromebooks at the schools, should they be setting up the Chromebook prior to the first day? Is there anything they need to do before the kids get into school? I know that might be age dependent.
So the one thing I would do is make sure you plug it in and charge it. You definitely want to come to school with a fully charged Chromebook. And if they know their password, or if they had one last year and they want to try logging in, they're more than welcome to. But otherwise, there's really nothing that you have to do before the first day of school, except again to charge it and then to remember to bring it to school.
And can passwords be saved on the Chromebooks?
That's an excellent question. I don't think that they can.
I don't think they can.
Yeah, and the reason I was thinking it through was, so if you're going, so the way that Google works, or R works, you can use any computer. You wouldn't have to use a Chromebook per se in order to access all of this material. So if I'm just at home and I'm like on my Mac laptop and I'm using, it doesn't matter which browser you use, as you might have noticed, I was using 3 different types of browsers today. You log in and I can save it so that I can log in each time. Because the Chromebooks are managed by our school system, we don't have them save the passwords just for security purposes. So no, the passwords would not be saved on the Chromebook. Personal Chromebooks, you probably can, but not on our managed Chromebooks here.
There's a clarification also requested about how parents get invited as guardians to the class.
So the way that it's going to work is, I had to make sure I was on the right one, is that, here, I'm just going to delete this. So the teacher needs to, for every student in their class, will click on Invite Guardians. They'll add in your email. Sorry. And then click Invite. Then you, as the parent, will receive an email. Let me go back. Here it is. Asking you to accept the invitation to be a guardian for your child. I do recommend that if you have a particular email that you would like your teacher to use, to email them. It does make it easier for them to copy and paste that email right in to invite you. But otherwise, we have emails in the system that they would use and then send to you. But that's how that would work.
So I just want to clarify, looking at some of the questions, that for Thursday and Friday, we are giving some orientation for the kids, not only to the buildings and our new processes, but also the importance of students bringing back and forth their laptops, even if they're very young learners. So we can start to offer some instruction on simple things, like even how to turn on your Chromebook and how to expect to see Google Classroom. So we're trying to do some face-to-face instruction, as well as just have students log on as distance learners. Distance learning won't happen or begin until Monday, the week following. So we will be then doing our live streams, and you'll see the meets. So teachers may not be inviting guardians to Google Classrooms until Friday afternoon, because they're really working face-to-face and giving some instruction. The other piece that I just wanted to mention is there was a question about, for distance learners, whether or not there will be paper copies available in the elementary schools for some of the weekly packets. And we will have some of those materials, as well as some manipulatives that kids will be able to use at their home office, is what we're calling it. So we have school offices and home offices. And our students will be able to access some of those consumables, as well as some of those packets for distance learning days. And those will be available, either passed out to students before they leave for distance learning days, as in the hybrid model, or in the event that we go distance learning, we will have packets in the bins outside as we did last time.
Michael,
Can I, well, hold on, I was just going to add on to the Guardian, one more thing. You only have to accept one invitation to be a guardian for your student, and then you're attached to your student for the rest of the time that they're in the Madison Public Schools for every single Google Classroom that they join. So this is just, it's a one-time thing. So if your student, just if they're in elementary and they have a homeroom teacher and a related arts teacher, you will receive summaries in one email for both of those Google Classrooms. If you're at the high school and you might have 6 or 7 different Google Classrooms, you will be automatically in all of those classrooms and receive one email with an update for all of those 6 or 7 classrooms. And like I said, so if you do this for your child as a kindergartner, when they're a senior at hand, you're still attached to them for every single class that they have. And so yes, it's only one thing.
Next question, can more than one guardian be on the email receipt?
Great question. Yes, you can have as many guardians as you like. So yes, so every person who wants to be a guardian for that student can be.
And then how do students that are new to Madison Public Schools, how will they get their Google account?
So from their teacher, all of the students have already been set up with their Madison email address, which again is that last name period first name at madisonps.org. There's been a randomized password set up for them, and then their homeroom teacher will give it to them.
Mike, can you go over one more time where on the Google Classroom the live meet schedule will be posted for people?
Sure. So I'm going to go back to my teacher view. Actually, I'll do it in the student view. So in the student view, under classwork, there's a week at a glance, and here's the live schedule plan. And for me, I just have a link here that you can click on, and this is just an example, and it really depends on what your class will look like. For an elementary, you can have a whole day. This, I was talking with one of the related arts teachers of how they might do their class since they have a smaller window and what it might look like. So that's what that one is.
For students who are high school and middle school who follow a bell schedule, those students will log on to their Google Meets in the beginning of the class period in most instances. If there's a change to Google Meet schedules, they will be posted just in the way that Mike just explained. In elementary, you will be receiving a schedule. And again, this is new to all of us, so we're hoping our Google Meets practices evolve over time and that we grow from our experiences. Right now, we're looking at approximately 50% of classes being live streamed. So if my class period is 60 minutes in length, approximately 30 minutes of that class period would be live streamed, not necessarily in one block. So that might look like a 15-minute lesson in the beginning, and then maybe a check-in with a small group of students or a reteaching as that class period progresses. So again, practices will continue to grow, but your teachers will be communicating with you.
Yeah, and just piggybacking off of what Gail was just saying, that just like I forgot that I had signed out in a different tab, and which is why things weren't showing. Yes, just be patient with the teachers. They're learning and growing with this and working really, really hard right now to make things as best as they possibly can for all of their students. So we appreciate the patience as they learn and grow.
And I'm seeing that the time for our webinar has concluded. I want to make sure that we're keeping this to a mini webinar series so our parents can continue to come. I want to acknowledge that there are elementary questions regarding, kind of the lugging back and forth of computers. Of course, due to COVID conditions, we're not doing any shared computers or shared keyboards, which is why we've gone to one-to-one. I'm not sure if if initially we're going to be able to answer the question of whether or not computers or Chromebooks can stay stationed at schools if you don't need them going back and forth to homes. So in other words, if my student already has a home computer and they just need their computer at school, can they stay there? But we'll continue to examine that. In the beginning, we appreciate your patience as we're kind of working through some of those pieces.
And Gail, can I share one more thing before we sign off?
Yep.
So for the parents, if you go to the Madison Public Schools webpage under parents, there is a part here to learn how to do everything that I showed you tonight. There are printable instructions, and then there's also these live instructions that will show you exactly how to sign in as a guardian and to change everything. So, because I know there was a lot to cover in a short amount of time. So if you need to go back and do that, please go check out our Madison Public Schools website and you'll find that information.
And I also think it just flashed before you as Mike was sharing that last screen. You can see that button up at the top. It says Google Classroom Help, and there is a help button. It will not help you with home technology issues. We're not going to be able to solve those problems for you, but things like resetting passwords, that would be definitely where you would go. And in addition, I just want to state that there will be assignments in Google Classroom as well as live Meet pieces, as Mike explained. So I want to thank Mike Ginsberg for his presentation this evening, Sherry Farmer for her continued support for our mini webinar series and all of her hard work to make sure that parents continue to be our partners this year. Thank you all for attending. We have 70 participants tonight, and that's outstanding. We really appreciate your thoughtful attendance and your questions. I hope you all enjoy a great evening.